In this video, we're going to be trading the correct score market on Betfair and showing you a bunch of real life trades so you can see how we traded it and the decision making process. But most notably, we're going to be going over the importance of your target score formula when preparing to trade the correct score market. If you've got any sort of interest in football trading, you're going to love what we've got coming up in this video. Go grab a nice cold beer and let's get into it. So when you're trading the correct score market, you're not just picking one score to trade on, you're usually picking multiple scores to trade. But this leaves more questions than answers, such as, well, which scores do we pick? Do we pick just the scores in favor of the team we think are going to win? Do we cover some alternative scores, like maybe some of the draw scores, maybe some scores where the underdog wins? And then this leads on to the next question. Well, how many scores do we pick? The more scores we pick, the less our potential profit. The less scores we pick, the bigger our profit, but the less chance of us winning our trade. So another question. And then also, how do we back the scores? Do we Dutch the scores? Do we put equal stakes on all the scores? Do we put more money on certain scores than other scores? As said, lots of questions when it comes to formulating your target score formula. But let me quickly demonstrate the dilemma that can be involved in this if you are a beginner to this market. So we've got a correct score market here, which is West Ham against Bournemouth from the Premier League. And let's just say we've done our research. We fancy the West Ham win and we want to back all our target scores in favor of a West Ham win. Okay. And so let me show you what can happen when we do that. So if we were to Dutch that, backing all the scores on a West Ham win with £100 stake, it gives us £57 of profit potential on all these score lines. Okay. However, let me show you something. If we were to go to the match odds market and just back the West Ham win, that actually gives us £58 of profit potential. So there's no edge in that, and you're just complicating things if you were to do that. So I just want to point that out because that is a typical newbie error. So what you want to do when you're trading the correct score market is you want to back a lower amount of scores because that will increase your profit potential. Otherwise, you may as well just stick to the match odds market. So let's just say we've looked at this closely. We've done our research. We think West Ham are going to win. They're going to win by 2 goals. So we would back 2-0. We would back 3-0, and we would back the 3-1. So they're going to win by 2 goals minimum, and also back the any other home win. So £100 stake on that outcome there. Suddenly our profit potential is a lot better, 166, and so you might want to play around with that, and then obviously that's what makes the trade a lot more worth it rather than just going in on the match odds market. But of course, the whole dilemma starts to arise. What if West Ham only squeeze out a 1-0? What if it's a tough match for them? Also, what if Bournemouth take the lead? We're in a bit of a tricky situation. So you could add a scoreline such as that. So you could cover maybe a 1-0 to Bournemouth, also cover a 1-1 in case it becomes a bit of a struggle for West Ham, and then cover our scorelines where we're expecting a good West Ham win. And then again, you can see this before the match kicks off when you're trying to formulate your formula and decide whether that's worth it. £88 of profit potential. Is that worth us getting involved on that one? So what we could do is we could also narrow down the scores even more and ignore the any other home win and just say, look, we think West Ham are going to win. Are they going to win by 4 goals? Or are they going to score 4 goals in this one? So, well, I'm not saying either way, but just saying that could be an opinion that you have. So we backed 2-0, 3-0 and 3-1. And we've also got 0-1 to Bournemouth in that eventuality. And then you can see that you've got a decent amount of profit potential to play with. And of course, because we're trading in play, it could still finish any other home win. But if we're trading in the meantime, we could move some profit onto that, or at least lower our risk in the meantime. And you're going to see some real life demonstrations of that sort of thing coming up later on in the video. And similarly, if it goes to 0-1 to Bournemouth, then, well, you're in a bit of a sticky situation, because then, yeah, what if Bournemouth go 2-0 up? Our whole stake could be gone. But of course, because we've got that money on the 0-1 to Bournemouth, we could leverage that to at least lower our risk in this potential worst case scenario. But anyway, look, there's just so many different combinations, so many permutations, so many different scenarios that can play out. And so this little demo here was just to show you the dilemma that is involved with trying to find your target score formula ahead of a match when you're trading the correct score market. But don't worry, keep watching the video. We're going to make this a lot easier for you to understand. So as you can see, there's lots to take into account, and there is no definitive right answer to this because every match is different. You've got matches with a really strong favorite, you've got matches with just a regular favorite, we've got evenly matched up teams, you've got favorites where they might score a lot of goals, but you've got matches with favorites where they might win but not score a lot of goals, and so on and so on. So as said, there's no definitive right answer. Every match is different, but when you are picking out your scores that you want to cover and you're formulating your target score formula, you need to keep this into account. You need to incorporate a plan A and a plan B. And what we mean by this, for example, your plan A might be that you want to back a load of target scores favoring the favorite because you expect they're going to win. So you might back 1-0, 2-0 and 3-0. However, what happens if the underdog takes the lead and goes 0-1 up? Well, suddenly all those target scores are dead. So you need a bit of a plan B. And so your plan B could then possibly be backing 2-1 and 3-1 to that favorite because you're expecting that they're going to win. But of course, you could adjust your plan B slightly to actually cover the eventuality that the underdog might nick it, or just might even be ahead for a long time in a match. So you might want to cover the 0-1 to the underdog. You might want to cover the 1-1 at the same time, because there is a good chance that if obviously the underdog takes the lead, goes 0-1 up, next most likely scoreline would then be 1-1. So you might want to definitely have an opportunity to trade upon that scoreline. So look, anyway, you can't cover every scenario. There is pros and cons to all of this, right? And you just need to have some sort of plan B in place. This is always something to consider when you're picking out your target scores. And if you are new to this and you're trying to find your own little target score formula, unless you're following a proven target score formula, then you're going to have to try and find your own one, and you should be prepared for lots of trial and error with a lot of this, okay? You might go into a match thinking you found the perfect combination of scores which covers all the expected scenarios which might crop up in this particular football match, and then you get into the match and then an unexpected scenario crops up and you realize it actually doesn't work how you thought.
Do you know what this means? It means that this damn thing doesn't work at all.
But then you might eventually find that perfect target score formula that allows you to be prepared for almost anything that the market can throw at you. And finding a really, really good target score formula, it's a lot of hard work, but when you make it work, it is absolutely priceless.
It works! It works! I finally invented something that works!
But anyway, the good news is we've got some real life demonstrations coming up right now where we've traded a bunch of matches using different target score formulas so you can see how they work. So you can watch these demonstrations, have a look at the target score formulas, decide if you like the look of them, and then maybe you've got a little bit of a head start when you head into the market yourself. Let's get into that right now, but before we do, I would really, really love it if you could click the like button to support the channel. We put out these videos for free for your education. All we ask for in return is that you click the like button. While you're there, it's probably advised you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all the videos as soon as they come out. YouTube does a very good job of hiding videos like this, so you need to seek them out and you need to make sure that you're at least a subscriber with your notifications on. Okay, is that all set? Let's check out these real life demonstrations. We got loads of different target score formulas, so this should be very, very interesting for you to check out. So it's half time in this match with FC Heidenheim leading 2-0 against Firth. So let me show you. Look, we covered these score lines mainly in favor of Heidenheim, but as part of your target score formula, you've got to cover worst case scenarios. And so we covered 0-1 and also 1-1. We had a sneaky suspicion that Firth might get on the score sheet in this one, but anyway, so far so good. This is definitely going in the direction that we want it to. And we're on a target scoreline already at half time. So that is both good and bad at the same time. Now look, we could cash this out. You can see that the cash out is there, and there's a profit that we could take from this, but we're obviously going to try and push this to the limit for the demonstration. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you always have to think 2 scorelines ahead. Now, we can cash out at the moment while it's 2-0. However, if it goes to 3-0, the markets are going to fully expect any other home win to be the final outcome in this one, and we don't have that covered, as you can see. So another goal, if it happens early in the second half, would not be a good thing for us. We would actually be facing probably a red cash out amount. So our best thing to do, if the markets are expecting more goals, we should expect more goals as well, and we should use the green we have on this 2-0 as leverage to lower the risk on the trade in case it goes to completely tits up, and also increase our profit. So I'm laying off this 2-0, £40 at 4.6, and it's going to bring us down to close to 0, as you can see on the 2-0 scoreline. But if you notice, that boosts up our profits on the other scorelines, on the upper scorelines, and also lowers our risk on the trade overall, just in case it goes completely crazy in the second half. You've always got to be prepared for that scenario to play out. So here we are, we're in a much better position now, and of course, if there are no further goals in this one and it just finishes 2-0, which I highly doubt is going to happen, then we will end up breaking even. But if we get a goal early in the second half, especially if it goes to 2-1, we can probably leverage the green on the 2-1 towards the higher score lines, and maybe on that 3-1 scenario. But anyway, let's see how the second half plays out in this one. It's 2-0. So we were definitely right about there being more goals in this one, but we got a bit of a double whammy. It went to 2-1 before we had time to react and do anything, and maybe leverage the green we had on the 2-1. It went to 3-1, and now this is our final target score. So look, another goal goes in, we're going to be in the red, minus 60%. So let's just take the profit on this one, and yep, we're all out. We're just pressing the cash out on this one, and we got a profit locked in. And so look, in the end, we made what, a 56% return on our stake. Now that could have been a better profit if the goals fell a little bit nicer for us. Okay, so if we had time to leverage the what would have been a 2-1 at that particular point in the match, then we would have had a nicer bit of green sitting on a 3-1. Or if these goals just arrived late on in the match, then that would have definitely increased that profit a little bit more. But anyway, just a good example for you. It is all the profits locked in. You saw how we approached the match. You saw the target score formula we used. And also just to point out the fact that we covered 0-1 to Firth. However, that scoreline was dead within 9 minutes, but we still managed to make a decent profit. So it just shows you can be quite liberal with the score lines you pick out. So if you do have a feeling that the underdog might make a bit of a match of it and score, which we were right about, then you could cover those score lines as well. And anyway, out with a profit. FC Heidenheim 3, Firth 1, 76 minutes on the clock. We got this match just about to kick off from Belgium. This is Ghent against Serene United, and we've covered all score lines in favour of Ghent. This is Ghent are a strong favourite for this one, 1.4. We've covered the 2-0 win, the 2-1 win, 3-0 and 3-1 win in favour of them. Let's see how this match develops. So we're at half time in this one, and it is 1-1. So Ghent took the lead, and that was all going to plan. However, spanner in the works, and Serene United have equalised. So it's 1-1 at half time. So that pretty much means that our plan B has to now kick in. We obviously covered 2-0 and 3-0. Those are impossible. They can't happen now. And so plan B is 2-1 and 3-1. The good news is we've got a bit more profit on those potential score lines. So let's see what happens. It's 1-1 at the moment. Ghent 1, Serene United 1. 84 minutes on the clock, and plan B has kicked in. Ghent have just taken the lead here. So we're on that 2-1 target scoreline, and now look, the first thing we should do is try and just take any further risk out of this trade, because if it goes to 2-2 from this point, then that's going to be very, very frustrating. So let's get that lay in the market, and obviously we just want to make sure that is totally done and that's totally out. So look, if it remains 2-1, there's around 5 minutes left, we'll make £97. If it goes to 3-1, we've got a nice bit of profit on that one, and we would leverage up pretty nicely up to £343. Okay, and obviously, look, if it goes to 2-2, then that's a risk we're willing to take, or we could look to cash it out. The cash out's not available at the moment. This can often happen on the correct score market. Just something to be aware of. But anyway, 85 minutes on the clock. Ghent 2, Sereng 1. And so we're heading into the very, very late stages of this one, and probably the final whistle's going to go any minute now. Looks like it's going to finish 2-1, so we make £97 of profit. But you kind of saw how that trade played out and the importance of the target score formula. We wanted to back the win to Ghent, 2-0, 3-0. Obviously, we needed a bit of a plan B, which was the 2-1 and the 3-1. Landed on that 2-1, got the profit locked in. And also, we put ourselves in a position where if there was the extra goal, we would have leveraged up our profit significantly. So you kind of see how those trades can play out. Final score, Ghent 2, Sereng 1. So we've still got some more examples to come, but in case you missed it, if you are interested in learning how to trade the correct score market and become a master at trading this market, we have launched a new course that covers this. It's called Correct Score Mastery, and this course will teach you everything you need to know about trading this market, including how to remove risk, minimize your losses, how to create free bets and create leverage in the markets. And of course, you get some low risk, high reward strategies to move forward with immediately. And also, when we think about what we're talking about today, you're going to get the Q systems, the free Q systems, and they've all got a proven target score formula within them that you can follow, which incorporates a plan A and a plan B. And it's probably one of the best target score formulas that you can follow, because you will be prepared for almost all the scenarios, even when it goes wildly against what we were expecting was to develop. So that is all in the Q systems, and that's all inside the Correct Score Mastery program. Now, if you want to get more information on this, you need to download the course prospectus ebook. Link is in the description. It's free to download. The ebook will have all the details that you need to know about the program. There is quite a lot to take in about it. Just a heads up, correct score market, quite a sensitive market. It's also really advanced, so we can't just take anyone onto the course. You're going to have to fill out an application form, which is inside the prospectus, to be sure that you are a good fit for this particular program. Either way, click below, get the course prospectus ebook, and take a closer look at what there is to offer and what you'll be learning about the correct score market. So link is in the description. Click that, put in your very best email address, and we will email that right to you. Anyway, we've got some more real life examples, correct score trading, different target score formulas, so you can see exactly how they work. Let's jump back into it. Halftime in this match. This is Bochum 1, Union Berlin 0. Now, Union Berlin were the favourites for this, and because they were the favourites, we pretty much favoured our target score line in favour of them covering 0-1, covering 0-2, and that has not transpired. So we're switching to pretty much to plan B. And so we covered 1-0 to the underdog, which is always a good scoreline to cover in scenarios like this. Now, obviously, look, if Bochum double the lead, our stake is dead. And we need to pretty much anticipate that the favourite are going to get back into it, which is the most likely probability. And we should always think of it like that. So anyway, look, we've got 170 on the 1-0 in this one. We're better off laying that off. And if I can do that, yeah, let's lay that off. 3.65, £60. It's going to bring it down to almost a break even on the 1-0 scoreline to the underdog. But at the same time, it's going to lower our overall risk on the trade. And let me just move that up just so... Oh, okay, you can see it. So now you can see. So look, if this finishes 1-0, we're going to end up with a break even on this particular match. 1-0 to the underdog. If they do double it, we're looking at a 40% loss, okay? So if Bochum start to run away with it, 40% loss on this one. So we've at least lowered our potential loss on this one. But now we've got a bit of green on the 1-1 and the 1-2 if the equaliser can arrive and Berlin can turn this around. So that just shows you how useful it can be covering 1-0 to the underdog in scenarios like this. Let's see how the second half plays out. 71 minutes on the clock. It's just gone 2-0 to Bochum. So that is obviously not good for us. And that means we're staring a loss in the face with this one. However, the good news is that we at least minimised our loss, okay? An underdog going 2-0 up, pretty rare scenario. In this case, it's only a 40% loss on our stake. If it went the way that we were expecting and that probability was expecting, we had substantially more profits sitting there for us. But in this case, didn't work out. The important thing is that we took the action we did on the 1-0 scoreline, and we got that loss down to just a 40% loss. So in the end, this one's a loser. Bochum 2, Union Berlin 0. We're at half-time in this match from the French league involving Nice against Nantes. So we forecast this as a low-scoring Nice win. Plan A, 1-0, 2-0 to Nice. Plan B, it goes to 1-1. Maybe Nice have to push and win it 2-1. But anyway, so far it's kind of going according to plan A. It's 0-0 at half-time. They haven't taken the lead yet. But this is kind of going how we were expecting. But anyway, we will give you an update as the second half develops and as the goals go in. Let's see what happens next. 56 minutes on the clock. The underdog has taken the lead here. So that means we're pretty much reverting to plan B. We're going to look to try and get on a 1-1 or a 2-1 to try and salvage something from this. This is obviously what can happen. That's why you got to be prepared. Underdog is in front. Nice 0, Nantes 1. So here we are, 96 minutes on the clock, and plan B has definitely kicked in and well, saved us. Last minute goal makes it 1-1. We land on this 1-1 scoreline with the £82 of profit, the 82% return on our stake. Not the greatest trade, really. Not the greatest match as well. I mean, we forecast it to be a low-scoring Nice win. It went against us. We had to look to try and use a plan B. But that's why you back these scores. That's why we back the 1-1 and the 2-1. Okay, it's all part of the plan. Okay, but never great having to win a trade with a last-minute goal. You'd much rather be in more control of it. But anyway, we're out and we've got a profit on this one. This is pretty much the final whistle. Just about to go in this one. As you can see, 1.03 to lay on this scoreline. So this is all done. Nice 1, Nantes 1, final score. Half-time in this match from the Swedish league, and this is Häcken against Malmo. Häcken leading 1-0, and the good news is we've covered scorelines in favour of the Häcken win. We've got 2-0 and 3-0 covered, and then as our plan B, if they concede, we've got 2-1, we've got 1-2, and we've also got 1-1 covered. So far so good. Next goal is going to land us on a target scoreline. So let's see where we're at when that happens. It's Häcken 1, Malmo 0, half-time. 74 minutes on the clock. Good news and bad news. Häcken have just doubled the lead. They're 2-0 up. That puts us on a target scoreline. But the bad news is they're playing with 10 men. So my thought on this is that probably the scoring isn't quite done. So what I'm going to do, we've got a £100 stake in the market. We're in a strong position. We're on our 2-0. We've also got our 2-1 available there as well. In fact, you know what? Let me try and... There's a corner, so... Okay. All right. Anyway, it was taken. But anyway, so look, we're on a 2-0. Another goal. We're still on a target scoreline, so that's all good. However, the red card, it could make it very, very unpredictable. We don't have anything on the 2-2. So anyway, we've lowered the risk on this one. We've got £98 on the current scoreline. We've got bigger profits on the next possible scorelines. Let's see what happens. It's 2-0, 76 minutes on the clock. So 86 minutes on the clock, and as suspected, Malmo have pulled one back. It is the 10 men of Häcken who are currently leading. So the first thing we need to do is remove all the risk from the trade now, because of course, remember, we don't have 2-2 covered or 3-1 in favour of Häcken. So let's get that in. So obviously it was going to plan, but it's slowly unraveling because of the red card is making this a lot more harder to predict. So here we are, and we've got 123 on the 2-1 scoreline. We've got no further risk in this, and with such doubt heading into the end of this match, maybe best we just try and cash out and even out the profit across all the outcomes. Let's see what we can do. So let's lay it with 86. And so let's just put that in. The cash out button notoriously disappears on the correct score market, so do be aware of that, and you might have to cash out manually. Anyway, we put in that order to lay the 2-1 scoreline at 1.4. That's now taken, and we should all now be cashed out. Okay, so the profit is in. We've obviously now locked that in, and I think it's the best move heading into these late stages, because this is it's turning into a unpredictable finale. So let's see what happens anyway. Final clip anyway from this. Hacken 2, Malmo 1. So you should have a very good idea now about the target score formulas and incorporating a plan A and a plan B into your trading when you're picking out those target scores. We could be here all day with all the different formulas and all the different scenarios that can play out in the correct score market, but that's a good little head start on it. Now, if you didn't grab this one earlier on after we mentioned it, this is the course prospectus ebook for correct score mastery. If you're interested in learning the correct score market in further detail, download this course prospectus. It's free to download. The link is in the description. Put in your email address. We'll email it right to you, and then you can have a good look in full detail about what is included in correct score mastery, so you can see if this is something that you want to move forward with. Okay, course prospectus is in there. Application form link is also in there as well. So that's it. Link is in the description there. And if you didn't see this recent correct score trading video that we did, then check this one out. Okay, if you thought this video was useful today, this video should really help you out. Even if you did see this video, watch it again. After watching today's video, this video should make a lot more sense. So anyway, check that video, and I will see you in the next video.